Hey guys, what's up? I'm back at it again with my with a new episode of Gifted Since '92, and the artist I'm going to talk about is Ameriie. Okay, so let's get straight to it. Ameriie is one of my favorite R&B female artists. Ameriie, she's really underrated. I mean, she's like so underrated, but she is so incredibly talented because Ameriie has really put in a lot of work in her artistry, and for her to be one of those artists that really came out early in the 2000s. Like, I know when Ashanti was out, I know when Beyonce was doing her solo at the time, and countless other female artists, they were, getting themselves out there in the door. Ameriie, she emerged in 2002, and I remember watching Ameriie when she put out her single, which was her first single from her debut album, All I Have. The single Why Don't We Fall in Love. Like, everybody knows that single because everybody knows, like, Ameriie, she's one of those artists that people know of her from that single, but not only from that single, but from other hits that she's done as well, like Talkin To Me. I know she did a record with LL Cool J, Paradise. I know she's done another collaboration, with Chingy. I think it was Fly Like Me. Yeah, it was that one. And I know her solo work, when it got to a second album, Touch, she did One Thing, which was a huge, huge hit for her. I mean, everybody loves One Thing. It's like that record is like one of those her most memorable and most like recognized songs that she's done in her career, because it's more like gave you that DC flavor, go go. It gave you like that R&B, the drums, the heavy bass, and the heavy rhythm and stuff. And she did, I know she did that record with Eve, and that's what I'm saying. Like, Ameriie, she is so talented. Like, she's always been one of my favorite artists. Like, it's like, some like artists, people don't give credit, or they don't give enough credit. But for those who haven't heard of Ameriie, my bad, I'm sorry, girl. If you see this video, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to mess your name up because I know. Ameriie. Actually, it's Ameriie. So, Ameriie. So, Ameriie, she has put out 4 albums of her career. Finally, I purchased all of her albums because I had to get all of them. So, I have all of her albums. I have this one. Hold on, I'm sorry. This is the debut album that I'm talking about. All I Have right here. This is the Touch album right here that I have. This is the Because I Love It album right here. You guys can see right here. And this is the 4th album. Which that album right there, that was like her last album she released. So that album was released back in 2009. So Love and War was like released back in 2009. Because I Love It was released in 2007. Touch was released in 2005. And her debut album, of course, was released in 2002. So Ameriie's been bad. I mean, Ameriie, to be honest, she was on a roll. I mean, Ameriie was like one of those R&B female artists that, like I said, when she was out, Ashanti was out. I know Beyonce, when she was doing her soul stuff. I know when Sierra was out and Keisha Cole was out. Because Ameriie, the thing about Ameriie that some people don't want to admit is that Ameriie is like, she's one of those talented artists, like, she's rare. And it's like for her, and I noticed that, she took a long break. I would say she took a break. I mean, she took about, 6-year break or something like that. So it's like with Ameriie, I like how, her as an artist, she really is really creative and she's really innovative. And it's almost like with women artists, some people, they don't want to give women artists recognition, or they think that women artists don't have the creativity. But Ameriie was always into music. Like, she grew up with different kinds of music. She grew up with soul music. She grew up with R&B music. She grew up with rock music. She grew up with pop music. A lot of her music, all the artists that she's been influenced, because I know she's been influenced by Michael Jackson and Prince and Sade. I know she grew up listening to those artists. So, because I did more research on her, like, those are her influences. Those are the ones that really really made her for who she is. And she always admired like Michael and Sade and Prince, and she wanted to incorporate all those sounds and the style and elements into her own music. And that what makes Ameriie so unique and special is that, like I said, she came out in 2002, but it was something about Ameriie that, like, her image, like, she was more like, like bubbly. She was more like, laid back. She was like, she was just like in her own element. Like, she didn't try to be nobody else but her. And the thing is, with her music, I mean, she never put out a bad album in my opinion. Like, I don't think she never put out garbage music. And her music also, it represents her as a person. And like I said, Ameriie, guys want to know a little bit more like her background. She is black and she's Korean. So she has a black father and she has a Korean mom. So her father is black, her mother is Korean. So it's like she grew up, like I said, learning how to embrace who she is. And I liked it that, she used all of that into her music. So let's get first to the nitty gritty. Her debut album came out in 2002, and Ameriie, she has had success like in the R&B department, because as I said before, it's only like a few artists right now. If you have the whole package, then you really are able to really like, grab people's attention. And it's not by your looks. I mean, it's everything: your looks, your style, the way how you're presented as an artist. And it seems like nowadays with R&B is changing. R&B is evolving right now, but R&B is like really, I think people right now, they just don't, it's almost like the traditional R&B, the R&B that I grew up listening to. It's like Ameriie is one of those like traditional R&B artists, although she will step out the box and she will push the envelope, because Ameriie I never, like, her as an artist, she's so unique. Like, her albums don't sound the same. Each album is different. Each album is like one step ahead of its time. And Ameriie, it's like, I think that, for Ameriie, and she says herself, she said, you know what, I've been doing this for a long time, and when I'm in that creative space, when I'm in that creative mode, that's when I create albums, or that's when I get in the studio and create music. Because Ameriie is not, like I said, she's not a cookie cutter manufactured R&B pop artist, whatever the hell people want to, they say cookie cutter manufactured. But no. But Ameriie, she is really like so talented, and not as far as like her being an artist, but her being a person, because she's balanced. Like, she always want to like make sure that, like, when she makes records, she gonna make sure that she's gonna give it her all. She's gonna give you the best quality of work. And for her to take a break, it's time for Ameriie to put out new music. I know recently she put out her EP Drive, which is a 6-track EP. So that was just like a sample of what was going on with her, like what she was doing musically, what was in her mind going on, what was her creative process. And people, like a lot of people, like the majority of the public, they were so excited that she was back, that she's back, and she's putting out new material. We'll get to see like where is the direction of her music is going, because as I said before, Ameriie, her music is versatile. It's like not in one box. And from her debut album, it was like really, at the time, R&B was like really popular at the time, like in the early 2000s. Because I grew up, because I was like, what, probably, I know, about 6, 7, 5. So I was around there. And when she came out, I think I was about like 6 or 7. I think it was about like 6, 7, or 5 when she came out. I think around them years. But she was like, to be honest, like, I always thought she was talented. I always thought she had a unique voice. I mean, and Ameriie, her singing, I like the way how she sings her records. Now, Ameriie, she's not a powerhouse vocalist, but she can definitely hit the tunes. Like, she can definitely, like, how the production flows and how the production is presented. She can really get the record and make it come to life. That's what I like about Ameriie, is that she is herself. She don't try to be someone that she's not. And it's almost like for this today, sometimes it's almost like, I think some of these R&B artists, like, they sound the same. Like some of them, it would be like, oh, if you listen to someone's, record on the radio, but it's almost like, oh, it could be another person's record. Or it's like they're trying to do the same trend of music, because right now everybody's in like that R&B trap sound. And I mean, it's all good. I mean, it depends on who you are, but I think for that record, I don't think, I mean, I'm sorry, not for that record, my bad. Like for that sound, it just doesn't mesh well with everybody. And I think the issue is everybody is doing that R&B trap, but it's like, do your own thing. Create your own lane. Create your own sound, your own style. Like, and I understand, like, nowadays, like, people, of course, as artists, as things change over time and the music is changing and growing, that's good that you're able to, like, keep up with the times. But the most important thing is be creative and set trends for yourself. And that's the thing about Ameriie. Ameriie never tried to be someone else. Ameriie always stood in her lane, and she expanded in her lane, and she grew and she evolved herself as an artist for herself. And during the time, I know her sound was so unique and so fresh and so edgy and different. And at the time, like, people were saying Ameriie, she was blossoming into one of an all-around entertainer. Ameriie, she can sing. Ameriie, she can dance. She writes her records. She produces her records. I know one of the producers that really, 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 like, molded her, and, well, I would say molded her sound. Excuse me, not molded her, because I don't want to be like whatever. But she molded that, like, they both of them created a sound for her, and they was sitting and they was like, okay, this is a particular sound that when you hear the record, you know it's Ameriie. Like, when you hear a Michael Jackson record, you know it's Michael Jackson, because Michael's music was universal. And I think Ameriie's, she's the perfect example of how her music is universal, because it's like, for her, she branched out in all areas. She didn't stick to doing R&B. She didn't stick to doing pop. She combined soul. She combined reggae, pop, go-go. She combined rock elements. I mean, she just combined everything, and then made it so freaking, like, it just made it realistic, and it made it so relatable, and she's authentic. And for Ameriie, like I said, she put out 4 albums, and that's pretty good for her. I mean, people will be like, well, she ain't, well, like I said, in this day and time, in this generation, some of them, they don't know anything about longevity, and they don't know anything about art. So I'm gonna get to the nitty gritty of Ameriie. So like I said, Ameriie, by the time she put out her debut album, she was working with I know the producer Rich Harrison, who is her longtime friend, and like how she and him, they created, a lot of her sound. She was trying to present herself to the world, who's Ameriie. And a lot of people, I mean, like I said, people know who Ameriie is. They know. I mean, for the ones who don't know, they probably, like I said, they're too young to remember. But for the one who grew up in that early 2000s era of music and R&B, Ameriie is one of those artists that you should not overlook. You should not overlook Ameriie. I mean, definitely, you shouldn't even be overlooking Ashanti. You shouldn't be overlooking Maya, and you definitely shouldn't be overlooking Ameriie, because some people, like I said, they get so caught up in like, oh, you're a has-been, or you just had your time. No, they really slayed the game. I mean, and especially for Ameriie, because Ameriie, I've seen people in discussions, and I've seen people like, what, Ameriie, she should have been bigger. And I really agree with that, because by the time Ameriie had her second album out, which was Touch, it seemed like Ameriie was getting more opportunities were open for Ameriie. The platform was open for Ameriie. Like, Ameriie was performing everywhere. Like, I know Ameriie was performing, like, during the time when BET had their shit together, because I don't know what the hell they're doing now. But during the time when it was about the music and the art, Ameriie was one of those artists that people were looking forward to seeing, to grow up with her. And Ameriie, I know she was on like 106 Park. I know she was performing on BET Spring. I think it was Spring Bling. Yeah, it was Spring Bling. Like when like all the artists, they got together like over spring break and they performed their records. They had a good time. So it was a connection to the audience, to the youth, to the culture. So Ameriie, she was one of those artists, like, she was really slaying. Like, when she came out with One Thing, that was when it really was like, wow, like, it really propelled her. Like, she came out with I Know Why Don't We Fall in Love, which was a huge hit for her. I Know Talking To Me, which was another hit for her. I know she did a collaboration with LL Cool J, Mimi, like Paradise. I think that was the name of the record. But I like how the chemistry with her and LL Cool J, they just was like match made in heaven. Like the records, the production, the vocals, I mean, she really took that record. I know LL Cool J, because LL Cool J at the time, you know, he was like everybody's ladies man. Like, he was like, you know, really, really getting himself out there, you know. And everybody know who LL Cool J is because he's a legend in his own right. And I think he's underrated in some ways because some people, like I said, you know, they don't want to embrace a lot of people. They just act like, oh, it's only one person. But anyway, yeah, Ameriie was like, you know, getting herself out there, the collaboration. She was like, I mean, she really, really like was getting herself out there. And I know it was another collaboration with Shingy, you know, Fly Like Me. Like, she just really was like, damn, like it seemed like Ameriie was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But let's get back to the Touch era. I remember that record came out when I was in the 7th grade. And I know One Thing was one of her records, like, it was playing everywhere, you know. She was like, you know, I know the visual for the video to it. Eve was, Eve had did, that's the record she did with Eve. And I love Eve because Eve at the time, she slayed too. She was killing the rap game and just doing everything. But Ameriie, I really like, Ameriie was very selective with who she was working with, and I like that about artists. I like when artists, they take control of their career, and before they call themselves doing collaboration or working with an artist that they want to work with, they always envision of, okay, who do I want to work with, who will be very suitable for this record. And Ameriie, it seemed like every time it was like Ameriie couldn't do no wrong. It was like Ameriie knew like certain artists that got her style, that got her vision as an artist, that respected her as an artist. And I think like Ameriie, I mean, it's long overdue. I think Ameriie, she needs to come back. Like, well, she's already back, but she needs to keep making music, because it's almost like now for R&B artists, only, like I said, even for a few of them, I know a couple of them are emerging and they getting, you know, the opportunities. They're getting their opportunity and they're getting themselves out there. But I think for Ameriie, it's like some people don't want to give credit where it's due. It's like almost like, okay, when she was on The Breakfast Club, and they was like, Ameriie, you know, where the hell have you been? And where were you? And she was like, no, I'm just living life, and I'm just, you know, writing books. Because she said she was writing books that she's going to put out later this year. And she said, you know, recently she put out her EP Drive. And for her EP Drive, what I liked about the album is that she still remains, you know, in that element of her style and her sound. She still remains true to herself. It does not sound like what's playing now. And see, that's the thing. Ameriie always, like with her records, she always like takes it to another level. I mean, as far as the direction, as far as the like the production, I mean, her music doesn't sound nothing what's out now. You listen all of Ameriie's music from beginning to end, each album, listen to all of Ameriie's albums. Listen to them, because Ameriie is so damn talented. Like, Ameriie is so damn talented, and she's so freaking like creative. Like, I mean, as an artist, because she like, you know, she's half Korean and she's half black, and she's into like anime, and she's into like being animated at times, and she likes to, you know, tell her story and open up and be more like, okay, you know, just show people like how she's versatile. She doesn't put herself in one box. So it's almost like now Ameriie, she just put out her new EP, right? And I listened to it, and I think her EP is pretty good. I'm glad that she didn't go too far left. I'm glad that she did, you know, stay in her lane, and she did switch things up with the productions and stuff. But I know that Ameriie, she's gonna put out new music. I know she said she's supposed to put out another EP in July, so I'm looking forward to that. And I hope, like, and even before, she was working on like other albums. I know she was working on Sympathica, something Volume 1 and Billy. So she's working on those albums. But it's like I had to get Ameriie's albums. I had to get Ameriie. I had to get her in my collection. I had to, because it seems like with her, it's like I was talking to someone on Twitter and it was like, you know what, Ameriie, don't act like Ameriie wouldn't have been like bigger if she would have had the support. And I'm gonna get back to that. Ameriie, when she was on the Breakfast Club, she opened up about how, you know, she didn't get as much support from her team. She didn't get as much support from the label, and you know, she was going through changes and adjustments and stuff, and you know, they was like, you know, well, whatever they thought of her as an artist, but she said, you know, other artists, they was getting more, you know, help. They was getting more, like, you know, people was like helping them in their careers, and with her, she had to fend for herself at times. Or like one thing, the label at first, they didn't think that one thing would be a hit. They thought like, oh, she should have put out another single, but she fought for that. And see, I have respect for artists that fight for what they believe in, because when it comes to your art, when it comes to your craft, it's like you take so much pride and so much work in creating something that represents you. You take so much like dedication into your art. And see, the thing that upsets me is that people, that you got some of these fans that some of them are ungrateful when it comes to certain artists that they like. They say, oh, I'm gonna be there for this artist, but it's like, it takes a lot of work. Like, I don't know what it's like being in the studio creating music. I don't know what it's like creating beats, because I don't have no experience in that. Like, I have never gone to a studio or created a beat, or like create a beat, like creating a beat. And I think it's so cool. Like, you know, you got like producers, like you be producing your own stuff, writing stuff, like you be creating. You got so much stuff in your head, and it's like it comes to life. And it's like Ameriie, it's like she don't get enough credit. It's like, it's almost like they try to put her in a box with Maya and Ashanti. And I will be making videos about Maya and Ashanti in the future. But it's like they try to put her in a box, like they try to put them aside, and that, like I said, they didn't do anything or they wasn't successful. And I'm sick and tired of like, well, you know, they had their time, they're irrelevant, and I'm like, guys, don't act like you was bumping. Don't act like you wasn't bumping to Ameriie. Don't act like you wasn't bumping to her, because people always like, well, you know, Ameriie, you know, she just, no, Ameriie has hits. Ameriie, come on, like, really? Really? And for people to overlook her, to be like, I'm like, she's one of those R&B artists that really like changed the game. As far as I'm concerned, I know she changed the game, because basically during the time of Touch, during that Touch era, I know she put out one thing. I know because I got it. Let me see. Oh, and she put out another single called Touch. Yeah, it was another single she put out called Touch, because I was trying to remember. Yeah, she put out another single called Touch featuring T.I. And I'm trying to tell you, with the collaborations, Ameriie knows what's up. She knows. Like, it's a match made in heaven. She got chemistry. And Ameriie was being more edgy. She was being more bold. She was being more like a risk taker. Like, that Touch era, and even the album itself. And I'm going to talk about the album Touch. The album Touch, I know it was her, and I know Rich Harrison, and I know her executive producer. She executive produced this album herself. So it was herself, and it was Lenny Nicholson. So yeah, she really, like, I'm serious, like, the Touch album is so amazing, because Ameriie gave you like urban bangers. She gave you like urban records. She gave you like slow ballads, but she gave you like up-tempo records. She talked about relationships. She talked about like being independent, embracing herself as a woman. The album is so freaking incredibly, like, it's one of her best albums to me. And I know her, oh shit, hold on one moment. I am so sorry, guys. Someone was just knocking on the door and stuff. I had to get something, but I'm so sorry. What I was saying. Yeah, the Touch era. I mean, that album is one of her most. I think that era, like the album itself, it's one of her best albums. I think it's one of her best albums that she's done. And but what I said that the collaboration with T.I., and I said her and T.I., they made sure that that record was gonna be. I mean, it was almost like Ameriie. It seemed like Ameriie, she wasn't going, like I said, she knew what she was doing. Like, she was on track, like, with her artistry. And then Ameriie, like I said, after the Touch era, it was like she was going through issues with her label. And I know she was working on her third album, which is Because I Love It. Alright. I'm going to get to the daggone nitty gritty to this. Because I Love It is another great record that Ameriie did in her career, because Ameriie, like I said, she's creative, she's innovative, she thinks outside the box. And it's like, for that album to be so underrated, because you know why it was underrated? Because she had label issues. She talked about how, like, her management at the time, they really didn't know what to do with the promotion of the album. I know when, by the time the album came out, I remember that album coming out. I think I was in like the 9th grade. I think I was starting high school. So the album was coming out, and it was almost like Ameriie was having difficulty in trying to promote the album. She was having difficulty with her label, so she had to take, control of things. So she had to really take control, right? So it's like with Ameriie, it was almost like and it's almost like, at first it was like, okay, Ameriie, she has another album coming out, but it was like she was going through label issues, she was going through a lot of stuff, and she explained that in the Breakfast Club. She was like, yeah, people didn't really, I had some people, they didn't really take initiative, or I had to deal with, like, trying to figure out, like, how I'm going to promote my record. And instead of the record being released in the US, it was released in the UK. So the album, I was looking forward to that album, and I remember listening to the album on YouTube, and I remember listening to it, and I remember, like, oh my god, like, Ameriie is just such a genius. But like I said, she was going through label issues. I mean, she was going through it. I mean, seriously, she was going through it. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's really messed up how a label, the people, they don't have, like, it's like they don't believe in you. They have, like, they just think that, well, if you don't do things our way, then, you're not going to get what you need. It's like, no, that's why people need to understand that these artists, they work their ass off. Like, they bust their behinds trying to make quality music. And for the people that sit up there and want to say, well, this artist is a flop, and this, are you using your money? Are you buying your money? Are you buying your hard-earned money that you worked for? Are you going out your way to buy, B-U-Y, buy an album? Are you willing to buy the record when it comes out in store, or in the stores, or your nearest store or location, wherever? Are you willing to buy and support the artist? And it's like, people, I think, what I know, it's not, I don't think, I know, they act like that these artists are just gonna be like, well, okay, here you go, I have an album coming out. No, you're gonna have to buy. You're gonna have to go out your way. If you don't have the money right there, I understand your finance situation. I understand. I'm not an insensitive person, okay? Because there were times where, when my favorite artists, I didn't get their album right then and there. But did that take away from me being a fan? No. I didn't have the money right there. And I hate motherfuckers be so full of themselves like, oh, you ain't got no money? Motherfucker, what are you doing? You ain't got no money? Motherfucker, nobody's like, not, seriously, nobody's not like you. And see, I've been taught the value of money. I've been taught the value of saving money, making sure you don't spend it on everything. And don't get me wrong, like there's some nice things that you want, but you gotta, like I said, make sure you know you budget and make sure you get things that you need. But even with me, like albums, I love buying albums because of my favorite artists I grew up with. So I love collecting albums. I love buying albums. But it's like that's why I'm saying it's like people have the money to spend on everything else, but they won't even spend what, $9, $10, $11 on a CD. Really? But you buy other stuff. So that's what I'm saying. So yeah, Ameriie, like I said, the third era, because I love it. Getting back to the third era, she was having, difficulty trying to, promote her album, trying to get people to buy the album and stuff. But unfortunately, it was supposed to come out in the United States, but that didn't happen. So she had to promote it in the UK. And I know she released Take Control. I think she released a couple other singles, but that was it, because it was like, she had the lack of support. And it's the thing, when you call yourself talking about I support this person, or I endorse this person, or I'm here for this person, your words gotta match up to your actions. You can't just talk it and then don't do anything about it. So it's like with me, like I said, I really try my best. I really make sure I do my best to go support these artists that I grew up and love, because it's like there's only a few talented people. There's only a few. So you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, this next out, no, yeah, okay, and then Ameriie, since that whole thing didn't work out with her label, she just decided to move on, part ways. And that was when, in 2009, that's when she released Love and Roar. And she went back. I know Ellie Reed, he was executive producer. Ellie Reed and herself, they, like I said, they they made sure that, well, it seemed like, and to be honest, it just seemed like Ameriie was like, really was going, like, I don't know. I just think that Ameriie, to be, and personally, it just seemed like Ameriie, she was getting ready to really, like, come through. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was really going to, like, her comeback was going to be more like, okay. And it's like, she didn't leave. It's not like she stopped making records or stopped making music. But it's like, she just, I'm telling you, man. I am telling you. I'm just telling you, man. She didn't even stop making records. It was almost like, but anyway, in 2009, that was when she released her last album. And I know the first single was Why Are You? Like, I like the record Why Are You, because Why Are You was one of those records, it was that real Ameriie beat. It gave you that same flavor, the funkiness, the, content. I mean, it just gave you everything that you want to hear from an Ameriie record. And then she released another record called Heard 'Em All, and I know it featured Lil Wayne, and that was it from that album. I mean, and it's just so frustrating, and it's so really, like, it makes me angry that how in the hell are these artists are supposed to have a full era and they putting out 2 singles? I'm just saying. And this been happening for certain artists for a couple of years. I'm not going to mention them in the video, but it's like, how the hell a label is supposed to invest in money and spending in an album, right? Or in that artist, but they don't make sure that the artists have at least some, I don't know, it's just, there's just no support. There's just like, oh, here you go, well, you're on your own. I'm like, but why did you sign me in the first place? That's the thing. And these record labels are getting lazy. They're not making sure these artists get the proper support. They're not making sure these artists get what they deserve. And I'm going to tell you something. Things about to change. things are about to change. They're about to freaking change, people, because I'm sick and tired of bullshit. I ain't got time for that. Either right now, you fend for your damn self, because that's what I'm at. I mean, you know, you're going to have to get something. You're going to have to get things done for yourself. And don't let nobody tell you, oh, you know, nah, I don't want to hear that. You go out there and make something out of yourself. But anyway, yeah, so it's like Ameriie, you know, it's just like, you know, although Ameriie, like I said, she had her difficult times, she still, like I said, I liked in that interview, she was just, you know, she was down to earth. She just talked about, you know, what she accomplished, and she didn't, like I said, she didn't have like a, oh, you know, I gotta, you know, hurry up and make new music so people can like me again. No, that she never had that, because she knew that, like I said, the record business, the entertainment business, it can be some bullshit. And I really, really think that it's time for these artists to stand up to what they believe in and to take control. Because I think that Ameriie, I mean, like I said, some people thought that she was not going to make any more music, which I don't know why. And it's always like, well, look at her album sales, or look at their album sales. Why y'all going out your way? Why you give a fuck about album sales? You need to give a fuck about the art. You need to give a fuck about the culture. Why the fuck do you give a fuck about album sales? No, motherfucker. We don't give a fuck. I mean, for you to think that album sales, I mean, really? But you ain't, but then the ones be like, well, they're flops. These artists didn't sell unless they're flops. Are you, listen, did you buy or purchase an album? Did you buy an album? I want to see the receipts, because, honey, I got them right here. Look, this is all the receipts, people. Look. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have all the receipts. I have all of Ameriie's albums. Where are your Ameriie's albums? Where are they? And I don't care. I don't care. And like I said, if you own one Ameriie album, I will still have respect for you. I have respect for you. At least you fucking bought one of her albums. See, that's the thing. If you don't have nothing to show, then you need to be quiet. You need to go out there and get somewhere, okay? You don't have no album. You don't have none. Like, come on. This is, because, listen, look. This is it. I got all 4 of them. 4 people. Look. You see? Do you see? Yeah, there we go. Here you go. Yeah, I got 4 of them in my hands. So, it's like, if you have nothing to show, then you need to be quiet. Like, stop acting as if, like, these artists, because I'm telling you, they break their necks, yeah, they do, but it's like, they work so hard to show their art. They really want to be creative. It's like, and I really like when people talk about how that they had to stand up for themselves. They had to go out their way. Like, some artists, they had to, like, fund their own money to get their shit out. And it don't make no damn sense. Like, you got a record label that don't do shit for you. They don't do shit for you. You got a record label that don't do shit for you. They don't do shit for you. They don't do shit for you. They don't. And it's just so sad, because I be talking to my friends sometimes, and we talk about, like, stuff like, you know, she always talked about, like, the politics. It's the politics. And it is true. Unfortunately, it is, because it's like everybody's supposed to be, you know, whatever. Like, everybody's supposed to be like, oh, well, you know, I gotta do this and that. But the thing, like I said, let's get back to Ameriie. The thing about Ameriie is that Ameriie really did a phenomenal job with her career. I mean, Ameriie has really, like, pretty much have been on her A game. It's just that, you know, the people was not on their A game when it came to the promotion. And I'm gonna tell you about another person that I be seeing people Twitter lurking and all of that. And I be seeing people be saying, well, you know what happened, you know, someone stole Ameriie's sound. And that's the reason why Ameriie didn't really get as much. And I'm not going to say her name, because I'm not having it. I don't want them motherfuckers in my mentions. So I'm going to have to get the bug spray. You know, and if you have an idea, do your research. Just go on Twitter. if you pop up Ameriie, you're gonna pop up all her hits. You're gonna see the success that she's had, her accomplishments. But guess what? Pop up Ameriie. If you say, you know who stole her sound, I'm like, well, yeah, in a way. But it's almost like with Ameriie, the thing about Ameriie, I like how Ameriie, she didn't let it get under her skin, because in the interview they brought that person's name up on the Breakfast Club. And it's like, listen people, Ameriie is talented. Ameriie is a badass chick. Ameriie is one of those artists that's creative. Y'all motherfuckers always gotta bring this motherfucker up every single damn time. Every single damn time was a woman artist. Every single time. You gotta bring her ass up. I have nothing against this artist, but y'all be so stuck far up in her ass, it doesn't make any sense. It's not like she pay your bills anyway. It's not like she pay your college tuition. She don't. But it's like, Ameriie was like, no, it's just like, I've always had love for this artist. This artist and I, you know, we can coexist. And you guys, we can coexist. We can exist together. Okay? So, bring her up. Oh, yeah, she stole your sound. How did you feel? Oh, was you upset at her? Man, she was like, nah, man, I just did me. You know, I didn't pay no mind. I mean, she pretty much, Ameriie was like, you know what, y'all just being, crazy, because it's like, women, we can coexist. Why does it have to be like competition? Why does it have to be like when so-and-so's doing this and you already know they always bring her name up? They be like, oh, she's doing it back. I'm not gonna bring her up, because I'm telling you, the mofos give me mentions. I'm gonna have to get the damn bug spray and get some holy water. Holy water. Cause some of her damn stands are fucking knuckleheads. They act like damn whatever. They go batshit crazy. But I don't care, because when I take out the bug spray, you mofos going to be somewhere on the other side. I don't want that. But anyway. So, it's like, yeah, like Ameriie, like I said, I really love her so much. Like, she's one of my favorite artists. I think that Ameriie, like I said, it's been a while since she's put out new records. And I know that Ameriie, like I said, she knows too that, she's one of the underrated. I mean, she knows she's the underdog, because she knows, and that's what they say. Do not underestimate the underdogs, because they always be coming through. You underestimate people, that makes you look stupid. So, yeah, so it's like, yeah, Ameriie, like I said, I mean, for her to be one of those artists that changed the game, and I know like she pretty much like now she's at a point now where she's creating new music. I know she's an author. I know she's writing a couple books in the future. So I'm just glad to see Ameriie is doing something. Like she's being productive. It's not like, oh my God, Ameriie, she stopped making music. Oh my God, it's not like, but people, I don't understand why people made it as if like, oh my God, Ameriie, like you didn't make no music. Oh my goodness, Ameriie, like why you haven't? It's not like the woman like just did one album. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not knocking no artists like who have done one album. There have been artists who have done there have been artists that have done one album, that have one album out or had an album, but we didn't hear from them again. And I'm not knocking them down, because you don't know what goes on in people's personal lives. But what I'm saying is that don't act like you're there for an artist, and then when it's time to step up to go out there and buy their records, you don't do it. You don't do it. You just wait. No, you save up your money. You like your favorite artist, go to the store. Go to any store. Go get it. Well, certain stores, certain retail stores that sells music, albums, CDs. But just support these artists, because there's only a few. But it's like Ameriie, man, I had to get everything off my chest about her. I mean, I'm just saying, it was destined for me to get all of her albums. Like, it was so destined for me, because it's like, she is so really, like, out of this world, So, it's like, man, it's just, I had to go out there and get my Ameriie's albums. I just had to do it. So, I just want to do this video on her, and it was a long time, dude. I had to do it. I had to do the Ameriie video. I had to. Because it's like, after watching that Breakfast Club interview, I mean, over the years, I was thinking about her. But it didn't take until, for me, watching that Breakfast Club interview. That wasn't the case. Oh, that's when I decided to love her. No, I've always have loved Ameriie. And even when, like I said, I've always have loved Ameriie. I've always have loved her records. So I have all of Ameriie's albums. So I'm happy for that. Finally, I have every Ameriie album. So I just want to say that, you know, we gotta do better. Like, we gotta support these artists. Like Ameriie, she's one of those artists that she shouldn't be overlooked. And like I said, I will be doing more videos on other artists and other women artists that some of y'all mofos want to act salty and don't want to give credit where it's due, but that's alright, because I'm going to keep it 100 all the time, all day, every day. Okay? So, yeah, man, Ameriie, you know, I love you, girl. You always have been one of my favorite artists. So, like I said, I'm glad you're still making music. I'm glad you're still getting your stuff out there, because, you know, having your albums really, really made me appreciate you to a point where it's like I can listen to you, you know, whenever. So, yeah, so that's all, people, you know. Yeah, so what are your thoughts on Ameriie? What is your opinion of Ameriie? You know, if you grew up with Ameriie, what are your thoughts on her now? And have you purchased, you know, her albums, or do you have any of her albums? You know, so yeah, just let me know. Subscribe to my channel and look out for me next time on Gifted Since 92. Peace.